Hi, everybody. This is Linda Marcus Smith with interview number 1216. Cara Amore was not my first. She waited until I got good at this. She's smart. Let's do her intro. Today's guest, she wrote it for me. Today's guest is stand up comedian and producer Cara Amore, a New Yorker with sharp observations, questionable life choices. We can all identify with that. And absolutely no interest in acting her age. Whether she's turn the page on stage, the scenes producing shows, or roasting comics in competition, Cara brings smart, raw, slightly inappropriate comedy everywhere she goes. So please welcome Cara Amore. Hi, Cara.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad to have time to get to know you because I look crazy on emails and phone calls and texts, and I'm really not crazy. I mean, I have a brain injury and I try to do what I can do, but I'm not really as bad as I look, Kara. And thank you for giving me a chance. Kara and I have tried to do this interview, I don't know, 100 times or so, and we're finally doing it no thanks to me. Yeah, you have no idea. She's so patient. Anyway, Kara, tell people where you live, about whereabouts do you live in general.
I'm originally from New York, Long Island, New York, but I moved to Connecticut 4 years ago. So I live here in Milford, Connecticut, which is just about 10 minutes north of Bridgeport, which is what everybody knows because of the ferry from Long Island to Connecticut.
Oh, wow. Anyway, so you like it there and you're producing shows, you're doing roasts, and you're putting out amazing video information for us comedians, which I've enjoyed watching. You give very serious tips on the ins and outs as you see it in comedy. So, what would you like to talk about first? Because at some point, we're going to go into your whole life. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to talk about your comedy career?
We could do a little bit of my background, and then we can go into comedy if that works for you.
Okay. Tell people who little Cara Amore was. Like 5 year old, 7 year old.
Uh, so I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and then we moved to Long Island when I was 4. So I definitely grew up as a Long Island girl. I've always been very outgoing and very gregarious. And if you talk to my teachers, they would always say, has ants in her pants, can't sit down, things of that nature. Um, I was always musical. I sang for many many years. I played a couple of parts in school plays and things of that nature. I grew up in a pretty middle class family. My dad was a cop. My mom stayed home until I was 10, and then she went back to work. Um, she worked at Adelphi University, which was great because we got to go to school. And I was pretty, I guess, pretty just a typical kid, until about 12. I started getting bullied when I was in sixth grade, which I think shaped who I became and who I am today. And while it was a fairly traumatic experience then, I think it ended up being who I am. So that was really great. Um, but I suffered from alcohol and drug abuse for many, many years through my teens and my early 20s. Um, my drug of choice was crack, which people are always very, very, very shocked by. Um, and I'm not quite sure what the typical crackhead's supposed to look like, but this is what the face of it looked like in the 80s. And I got clean when I was 22 in 1991, and I've been clean for the last 35 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was the turning point that made I drank a lot and slept with whoever for a whole 6 months of my life after my divorce. And I had that moment of clarity where I was like, where's my life going? Why am I doing this? What was your moment of clarity that made you quit 35 years ago?
Um, it was never my choice to quit. I actually, yeah, other people made that decision for me, but then obviously it was mine ultimately because you can't really get clean without your own. You really have to, dig deep. Um, so the turning point was I went out New Year's Eve 1990, and I woke up January 4th, 1991. Yeah, after a 4 day blackout next to people I didn't know with a story that it seems like it's not real, but it is. Apparently, I ruined, I crashed a car. Um, yeah, and I didn't have any recollection of any of this until I woke up. So yeah, it was pretty intense. So at that point, my mother and my sister were already clean at that point, and
Mhm.
they started to make suggestions, like you may have a problem, you may need to and get some help, But I mean, people had been saying that to me for years. I mean, the first time somebody said it to me, I actually am a trained chef. That's what I went to school for. Yeah. And I made a conscious decision to be in the restaurant business because they don't hassle you too much about drinking and drugging. Um, but apparently, I found the one chef who had a problem with my drinking. Yeah. So I said, used to say to him, it wouldn't be a problem if you didn't have a problem with my problem. Could we just let this go? So, yeah. So, so I guess from 19 to 22 was really when people started to point it out to me that I was in pretty bad shape. So, uh, I walked into an AA meeting in January 4th, 1991, and I never looked back.
That's amazing. Amazing. Wow. And so then at some point in your life, you did, well, tell me what happened in the middle between all that and going into comedy, and then when you got into comedy.
Sure. So when I got sober, I couldn't cook anymore, mostly because I felt like I couldn't be around, the business.
Hmm.
So I had to find a new career, and I wasn't really trained in anything else but cooking. It had been my life for so long. Um, so my AA sponsor, I don't know if you know anything about AA, but she told me, so they tell you in the first year, no big changes, no relationships and things of that nature. I took some of her suggestions. um, I got right into a relationship because, God forbid, I should be alone for a minute with my thoughts. Um, yeah. But I did get a job. She said, just get a job, and keep it for 1 year. And after that, we can discuss what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And so I got a job in customer service. I would talk to people about before the internet. There was no internet in 1991. Let's just be my age is showing itself. And I used to pick up the phone and help people measure and buy mini blinds or vertical blinds or whatever on over the phone. So I did that for
Wow.
I know. And I did that for a year. And then when the 1 year was up, I went to my sponsor and I said, "Okay, time's up. I got to go get a new job. This is ridiculous." Yeah. So,
My landlady wants me to go on the internet and order her mini blinds. And I'm like, this is a setup to fail. Are you kidding me?
it's really not. I could teach you. I could teach you in a minute. It's so easy.
Okay.
So easy. Yeah. So after that, I said, if I can't cook, I have the gift of gab. I should probably sell something. So that's what I did. I went into sales. One of my friends got me a job at the Yellow Pages, which also does not exist anymore.
It doesn't.
I know.
Remember how they used to walk through the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep the fingers walking. So I sold Yellow Page advertising for, I think it was 3 years. Um, yeah,
That's tough work.
yeah, and I did that over the phone. I didn't even do it face to face. I did that over the phone. It was like I was on a sex call line. They liked my voice, so they'd buy stuff from me. And that was it. I did that for 3 years, and then after that, I said, okay, it's time to move on again. And I met somebody. I can't even remember where I met, but anyway, continued to sell. I sold conferences for the pharmaceutical industry.
Wow.
Yeah, one of a friend. She's a friend now. I met her at the job. She ended up being one of my bridesmaids. She would write the conferences, and I would sell the sponsorships for the conferences. So
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's a big deal.
It was a good deal. It was a good deal, I think. Yeah, yeah. I stayed
Selling
there.
sponsorships, that's huge. Wow.
Yeah, we were very successful, my girlfriend and I. We really loved what we did. We got to spend time together, and so I sold like, they would sponsor a cocktail reception. They would, sponsor, a tennis outing or whatever it was. And then whatever they sponsored, we would give them some kind of a giveaway. Like, so if you did a tennis tournament, we got you, tennis balls with your logo on it. Or if you did the cocktail reception, we got, wine charms, or whatever, cocktail napkins with your logo on it. After I left there, I went to another conference company. I did finance conferences, but I did it for a very short period of time. I was pregnant with my son. The day I went back from maternity leave, the woman let me go. She was a horrible human being and still is. But I have to say that it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I used to buy the sponsorships for the conferences, and then the woman I used to buy all the tchotchkes from taught me that business, and I ended up starting to sell swag. So, and then I bought my own business
Oh,
and did
wow.
that for 10 years. Yeah, yeah, that was great.
Well,
No, go ahead.
everything that I see that you do today is at a very high professional level. So this helps explain why you come across so professionally, because you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I didn't start
Yeah.
comedy
Yeah.
until I was so I don't know if I had a midlife crisis, or I had a little bit of an incident that happened. As I said, I sold swag, and I owned my own business, and it was a franchise, and it was called Adventures in Advertising. And you got to know the other franchise owners throughout the country. I became very close to one gentleman who was like a dad, and he was a mentor, and he was a great man. We became very close, and he got very sick. He ended up with pancreatic cancer. And while they've made great strides since then, he didn't make it. And at his funeral, people would talk about how, like, he had no regrets. He was just a great guy. He would jump on a plane to go see a client, or he would take his family here and there, and he was just a really great man. His name was David. And I said, you know what? I want people to be able to say that about me, that I had no regrets if I passed away tomorrow. And I figured, I always said I would regret not doing stand up comedy, and that's why I started at 35.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about the moment that you stepped on stage. Where was it? What club? Who helped you along the way to get where you're at? Tell us all about your trajectory in comedy.
So I started in 2003. I took a course at Governor's Comedy Club in Long Island. Yep. John Truson was was the teacher. He was really great. I had a wonderful class of people. I think there was 10 or 12 of us, and I think everybody was funny. Like every single person was funny, and they were great people, and some of them I still have a relationship with today. But if you know anything about the comedy college world, once get you get through the course, then they have a graduation. So my first time on stage was at the graduation, and you invite all your family and friends. It's a big celebration, and so my first 7 minutes was in front of 300 people because everybody in my class had a lot of people there. Yeah. So, if you've ever had 300 people laughing at everything you say, it's very, very, very heady. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God. Because I really thought I was going to do it once. It was going to be my swan song to David, and I was going to get it out of my system. Yeah, well, little did I know. I took it from there. Yeah. So, um, Joe DeVito, I don't know if you know who Joe DeVito is. Yeah, okay.
I met him once on the street.
Oh, that's funny. Um, so he used to help John with the classes in terms of he would come and he would like watch the comedians and he would give us feedback, and he and I became very good friends, and he was a great mentor for a very long time. And I started to get some momentum. I was doing well. I was getting booked. I started to get the road, um, but my son was little at the time. He was only 6. He was 3 when I started, but he was 6 by the time I started getting road work. And I really needed to make a decision. Like, am I going to be this kid's mother, or am I going to, be a road comic? And it's kind of hard to be both, you know? So, and he was having a few challenges in school and, whatever. So I made the decision to come off the road. I took some time off. I ended up with a very different job. The economy had tanked. It was like 2006, 2008. I don't know if you remember that whole crash. Yeah. So my swag business took a nosedive. And then I got a job in Manhattan, and I ran a private investigation and security company for 17 years.
My gosh, you're such a pro. You're like the chameleon of comedy.
I think it's just my Aries way of things. I can't be one thing for too long. Yeah.
I like that. My mom was an Aries. I get it.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Special
Yeah.
people. Very special people. Yeah. So
Yes.
so as I said, I took time off, but in that time, I
Mhm.
met a couple of people, and I started to do a lot of comedy in rehabs. So I used to do at least once a week. I was in a different rehab every week for 10 or 12 years. So I wasn't necessarily in the mainstream of comedy, but I was doing comedy on a regular basis. It just wasn't the same. Like, you wouldn't see me because it was anonymous, because it was in rehabs. It's not like you're, promoting too much about the fact that you're in a rehab doing comedy for people. But it was part of the service that I would do, as a result of, being a recovering addict. And I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah. So
That's how I
that's,
am with doing comedy for veterans. It's the
yes,
same thing.
yes. I could see that. Yeah. And I see you post.
So, yeah. So tell me some great things that happened during rehab comedy.
Oh, where do I even
There's got to be
start?
funny stuff there.
Lots of funny stuff, absolutely, because nothing teaches you how to be a really well polished comedian than somebody nodding out.
And you have to administer Narcan. Kidding.
Oh God, yeah. But and they would fight with us in terms of like, because it was like mandatory, and they were like, I don't want to sit through a comedy show. why do I have to do this crap, And then an hour after, because there was two of us, we'd each do a half an hour. And after the hour was up, they
Wow.
would come up to us and say, I have never laughed without alcohol and drugs. I've never laughed so hard. It was family day. My family just left and they hate me, and you made me feel so much better. I'm gonna, ride this high for the next week. So there's a million of those stories. A million of those stories. Yeah. And then the best thing was is that I would see people out in the world, either at a comedy club or at an AA meeting or and they would say, I don't know if you remember me, but you did comedy when I was in rehab and I've been clean for this long. Or, you know, I saw you a couple of times, and it really stuck with me. Or, I would walk out with people's telephone numbers, the women, asking me to be their sponsor. I met some of my best sponsees and people that I love to this day in rehab. So
That's incredible. Congratulations. What a story.
thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you say any of this in your comedy these days?
Yeah, I talk a
Yeah.
lot about being in recovery, and I talk a lot about my drug addiction. I talk a lot about the last day, or last night, or last 4 days, or I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I'm not really, I know it's an anonymous program, but I don't talk about the people, who were in the story. I never give away names, but I do talk a lot about my own recovery and that it's really changed my life and it made me who I am. And I think it makes me a funnier person too.
Absolutely. The deeper the traumas, the funnier the person, I think.
I agree.
Which is one reason why, unfortunately, they say that us, I'm 75. They say that older people have it rough in comedy. Well, if we're given the chance, we have miles and miles of things to say. It's just trying to get people say it in a way that makes the young people want to listen is the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, in my intro, it said I don't want to act my age. I don't think I have the ability to act my age because we're surrounded by so many young people in this business, and it really does keep you young. It keeps
It
you
does.
uh, like current events are important. How they speak is important. Things like that. So, yeah, I think it's been a
It
really good thing.
does.
Yeah, yeah,
So you've been in comedy about 20 years. Did I cut you short on years with 20? Is
yeah.
it more than 20?
Yeah. I mean, altogether, it's 23 years. In fact, I think my first. I think I graduated August 23rd, 2003 from the governors. So the first time I hit the stage. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Um, I know, it's crazy. But yes, but it wasn't consistent, you know what I'm saying? So it was not like I was always like there are comedians who've been doing this for 20 years who I started with, like the Chris Roaches of the world and you know, Joe DeVito's been, I think he was 3 years before me. They're already headliners. They're doing a lot of road work. They've done other things. And I think because I, started, stopped, started, stopped, it definitely ruined my momentum. But since I've been back, and I moved to Connecticut, it's been very consistent, and I've been working pretty consistently too. And also, I write a tremendous amount. I write with other comedians a lot. I mentor other comedians, and yeah, so it's been 20-ish years. How's that?
That's amazing. You started with Christopher Roach. Wow.
Yeah, we were very good
Yeah.
friends. We still are good friends, but we were at open mics like every week, 2 and 3 times a week. You know, yeah,
Incredible.
yeah,
Incredible. So, what's next? Talk about the different facets. Like, talk about what started you doing these tips for comedians on the internet. I love them. You're
yes,
so right in our face, but in an engaging way. and you have a strong opinion, but you don't deliver it in a way that's like judgmental, just your opinion. And you're firm about your opinion.
Yeah.
And I really like your approach.
Thank you. Um, so if you get to know me really well, you'll know that that's just who I am. I'm very like straightforward. I don't pull any punches. And I started doing the tips because I've always been fairly motivational, especially since I've been in recovery, and I always see like the brighter side of things. And I felt that if you could be motivational to people and come from where what you can speak about the most. I mean, listen, I could talk a lot about being a private investigator, but if you want to learn how to do surveillance in a van, I could teach you that too. But people aren't as interested in that as they are in stand up comedy and the things that you can learn from another comedian. And I guess it's just really sharing my experience more than anything, which is what AA taught me. You know, you just have to share your experience, strength, and hope with each other, and amazing things happen. And I think that that's the same thing with comedy.
I love that. So, talk a little bit about your desire to do roast battles. I roasted a fictitious person once. We
Okay.
got to roast the lady on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Nurse Ratchet.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to do that. I'm not a roaster,
Yeah.
and you are. You're good at it. Yeah, I see you getting booked on a lot of roasts. Where'd that come from? That's a special talent.
Yeah, I think, roast battles are the best when people write really funny stuff that's a little cutting, not the other way around, Like really I don't feel that it should ever be really, really cutting and then funny. It should be really funny and then cutting. So I don't feel like I'm mean in the sense of a roast battle. Not that I can't say things that are, harsh, but I think that they land in such a way that people don't feel put off, you know. The reason why I got into roast battles, so here in Connecticut, there's not a lot of clubs. There's a lot of private stuff, and you work with the other comedians, like at the open mics and things like that, and you become very friendly. And the younger generation who are doing the roast battles, where this really came from, I became friendly with them, and I know, and they said, "You want to do one?" And I said, "Okay," you know. And I think it's because they were looking for, I don't know, maybe I was the DEI. They had to find the old white lady. I don't know. Yeah. So, and that's how it started. And, I've lost more than I've won, but that's okay. I think that that muscle is very different than the other muscles that you use in comedy. And I've always been like a student of comedy. I've done improv, I've done stand up, I've done acting, I've done, you know, this is, I feel like, another thing that adds to my resume and helps me write better.
Oh wow. I like that. Now
Yeah.
that motivates me to want to go and watch and potentially partake just to work the different muscle and be a better writer. See, you just motivated me.
Well, where do you live, Linda?
I live in Queens, so
So
I'm right by the Long Island Railroad.
yeah, so there's New York. So it's the roast battles are different leagues. So it's like New York, Connecticut, Austin, Texas, California. So we're part of in Connecticut, we're part of Hartford. But New York has its own division too, and they do a lot of roast battles in Queens. So I could give you some names and numbers that you can go and see.
Okay. I'll go watch. I'm such a a prude in a lot of ways. Like I live on theories, like you should only do put ups and not put downs, and I haven't opened myself up to the possibility that it is another type of comedy.
Yeah.
I come from the era where roast battles were the best in the world. I mean, and they weren't, like some of them got mean, but some of them were so damn well written that you couldn't help but laugh. That's what I like.
So that's the goal. That's my goal. So well written that you layer the jokes, even though they're insults. I mean, look at Don Rickles. Don Rickles was the best insult comic there was, and while he was mean, people never felt he wasn't funny. He was always funny when he was doing it. Same with Joan Rivers. I mean, I absolutely love Joan Rivers, but
Yes,
she was mean.
she was mean. She was mean, and everybody loved her. And it wasn't even who she is. It was a put on.
That's
It's
right.
not how she really was in real life, people say.
Right.
So, you know, there's room for every type of comedy, and if you're going to do it, sell it. Commit to those bits.
I agree 100%, which is one of the things I recently said in one of my tips. You got to commit. Because if you don't have confidence on stage and you're iffy about the concept or the punchline, they're not going to go with you. So it's a lot about how you
Oh,
deliver it.
I want a tip from you, and I'm sure other people would love to hear this. I'm guessing. So let's break down, Cara Amore. I want you to break down the difference in comedy between true confidence and cockiness and deliriousness. Because there we go. I think you know where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to hear your take.
yeah. So I think, even in recovery and in my life, you start off with fake it till you make it, and there is a level of that in terms of you have to, like, for instance, Joe DeVito, who taught me this, he said, you can deliver a joke, you can hold the mic, and you could just say what you're going to say. Or you can lean forward as if you're like delivering the joke with so much confidence that they'll laugh at it, or you'll just the different inflections in your voice, if you have one tone, then they can feel your fear. But when you actually,
Wow.
take it and say, all right, here I'm coming with this concept, or here I'm coming with this premise. I'm going to deliver it with everything that I have, and either it's going to hit or it's not going to hit, And but it's okay either way, because if it doesn't hit, I'm going to, pick myself up and brush myself off without them even realizing or skipping a beat. And I think that that's real confidence.
Got it.
Yeah, I
Got it.
think
Because in
there.
this business, we run across people who are cocky and delirious at times of their own ability. And so I'm sure you've run into people that I had somebody I'll say this last month, which is a stretch. And I was running an open mic at a club, and he was like, why did you put me down so far? I'm good. I'm going to kill. Get me. And he got up there and he didn't have one joke or one laugh in 7 minutes.
Ooh,
So what is it with, why does it attract comedy attract people that are delirious and not, won't even recognize, so arrogant, they don't even recognize their lack of where they're at? Why is that happening?
I think, well, first of all, we all know this business attracts a lot of people with mental illness. I think we're all a little cuckoo, which is fine. I think it's great. I think it's important that, there be diversity. I also think that in my opinion, when I have seen that, there's such a lack in that person, and they feel so wounded all the time. I think that they feel that if they don't put up that persona, that they're going to get trampled. So it's like, like the vicious dog, like I'm going to bite you before you have a chance to hurt me. So I think
Wow.
it's like a defense mechanism. And I've met many people like that. Um, and I think the way that, for me anyway, if I had been dealing with that person, I would have said, "So, how do you think you did today? You know, did you record yourself? Did you video? Do you watch your sets afterwards? Are you able to actually dissect what you did?" And if a lot of their answers are no, or they are dismissive, I just leave it. I don't go any further. But quite often, I have met people who have never been spoken to kindly, or have never been mentored, or are kind of an island unto themselves in this business. And while it is a singular business in the sense that you're the only one on stage with the microphone, um, I think that we, as human beings, like to be around other people. And when we're being encouraged, you know, by others, I think we end up, our trajectory is much higher.
Wow. That was beautiful. And it actually helped me to have more compassion for those kind of people. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go into what you want your legacy to be. You talked a little bit about how much you enjoy and all the stories you have from your past in business and also doing rehab comedy and now helping mentor other comedians in many ways. If you could only pick one thing, Cara, that you want to be remembered for, what would it be?
Uh, I think that
Besides
one,
being a mother, don't.
I was just about to say, I said, you knew I was going to say that. Yeah. Uh, yeah, because I really, that's probably the most important thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I have beautiful children. But aside from being a mom, so we'll put that aside, I would like to be known as somebody who was willing to put her hand out and help another person in comedy. Yeah, and somebody who people, respect. That's really probably really important to me too. I mean, listen, I want everybody to say I'm funny. Not everybody thinks I'm funny, because there's different, strokes for different folks. But I think the most important thing would be that she was kind, and she was, giving and willing. I think that those are the three things that I would want somebody to say about me.
I'm only starting to get to know you, and I would say that about you already.
Thank you, Linda. You seem very sweet too.
That's true. It's true. I wouldn't say it if it isn't. Okay, so now, Kara, as we're winding up, you could have a few minutes, as long as you see fit, to encourage people who've been watching to come and watch you and tell them where to watch you and tell them why they should come and watch you and why they should get out to live versus internet comedy.
Sounds, oh, well, get out of internet comedy. I think the internet comedy, though, did serve its purpose. I think it's a great thing. We would have never had like these writing workshops or these open mics, or, listen, we can't always get out and do it, or there's not a live audience. So I think they have their time and their place. But everybody should get out and see live comedy. That's for sure, 100%. Where you can see me. I do a lot in Connecticut. Um, it's my home base, and I love it here, and I'm very happy. I'm also, the Northeast, because Connecticut is pretty much a thoroughfare to somewhere else. So you go from New York to Massachusetts to Rhode Island. You're like, oh, there was Connecticut in the middle of that. Oh, interesting. You know. Um, yeah. So you can see me. I'm all over the internet. You can catch me on every social media, Facebook, uh, Instagram, and also starting to put some YouTube up. So we'll see what happens with that. Um, yeah, thank you. So you can always check that. I'm in the middle of redesigning my website. So, but nobody goes to websites anymore. Everybody goes to Instagram. You can go to Instagram and see everything I'm doing on there. Um, and I produce a show here in Connecticut once a month. It's called Pub 34. There two women who own the pub. They're phenomenal women. I love the fact that we support each other. You know, they support the fact that I do a comedy show there once a month. I support them and try and get as many people through the door. So I do that once a month. And then I'm also doing helping another comedian. We co-produce. I'm helping him with Vine, uh, the Twisted Vine, is a really great restaurant here in Connecticut, in Derby, and it's haunted. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it's a beautiful location. The food is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And we've had some really good shows. We just started doing that in June, so that's been wonderful. And then I do a show every couple of months at Governor's in the Giggle Room. So that's really fun, and you can see me there in September. September 19th, I'll be there. This month, we'll be at the Twisted Vine on the 21st of August. We'll be at Pub 34 the 29th. Yeah, the 29th of August. And, and then, as I said, I'll be in Governor's on September 19th. In addition to all the other shows I'm being booked at, which is really beautiful. I'm really happy. Yeah, very, very
That's
blessed.
incredible. Incredible. So you're gonna have things up on your YouTube soon, and that we can find that by your name, Cara Amore.
Yes, everything is under Cara Amore. Either Cara dot Amore or Cara Amore. Um, it's a very unique name.
Yeah, it
So
is.
not,
And is that your real given name?
it is. It's my real given name. Yeah, yeah. My
It's
parents
incredible.
named me after the Jay in the America song, Cara Mia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So you said you're from Brooklyn. What part?
uh, just outside Flatbush. Flat, I guess it's considered Flatbush. Um, yeah, East Fourth Street and Catalia Road. So if anybody knows Brooklyn, that's where I'm from.
Nice. Yeah, I lived in Brooklyn in the late 90s and I sold advertisement for the Brooklyn papers.
Oh wow! Yeah, we have a similar road.
Yeah, when you were I've done so many sale. I was a banker and then I got robbed 4 times and said forget banking and went into sales.
Do you have that about you? Do you say that on stage about being robbed 4 times?
Yes.
Oh, you're a crappy banker. I'm just kidding.
I attract the worst people.
Oh my God! But you're a veteran. So what branch of the service were you
I
in?
was in the army first, and then I came out of the army and went into banking, and that's when I had guns in my face.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. I love it. That is so great. That is so great. So my stepdaughter is also a veteran. She was in the Marines. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah,
How's
yeah.
she doing getting how's her transition getting out?
Yeah, she's been out for a few years now. I think it's a tough transition. I think there's a lot of trauma. I think it's a tough world that we live in right now, especially with, I don't think we give enough support to our veterans.
Yeah, I agree. I have a show coming up at the VA hospital in Manhattan. Is she around?
No, she's
Oh,
lives in Arizona.
I see. It looks like I might have a really big, talented female comedian that's also an Air Force veteran that might show up. I'm really looking forward to that. They wanted big names on the show, so
Yeah, that's
I get the
exciting.
luxury. I know. I can't wait. It's gonna anyway. I get you get me talking about the veterans, and I need to be quiet.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
you with therapy comedy at rehab comedy. Yeah, we should
absolutely.
go have coffee and just talk.
That sounds good. Yeah, we could talk
Okay.
about how we can help each other.
Yes. This has been delightful. I'm so glad for your patience with me to this point and this wonderful interview. Thank you so much, Cara Amore.
Thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate it. And don't you worry, no need to thank me for being patient. It was great to be able to have this happen.
Thank you. You're a doll. Okay, I'll see you around and we'll be in touch.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.